Hodgetwins podcast. It's gonna be a damn good show.
Hey, Candace, it's so great that you could meet up with us. Thank you for giving us your time today.
I'm glad we could make it work. I know we were trying to do it in person, but it turns out I never make it out there. So
yeah. Hey, before we get started, I want to give our condolences to you. I know you and Charlie were really close, so I can't imagine what this has been like for you. Because when we saw what happened, it was very traumatic for us, and we only met him a couple of times.
Yeah, I probably spoke maybe 100 words to Charlie, but it felt like I lost a family member that day.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people felt that, which was really interesting. Like the impact of his assassination, I think, was not like anything we've ever seen. I actually met you guys through Charlie. Do you remember that?
Right.
An event together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
Well, Charlie and I were doing something, and we had you guys speaking.
Exactly.
And we were backstage.
Yeah, in Washington, D.C. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Man, wow.
So it's been a time.
Where were you when that tragedy happened at the time?
Well, I was here. I was upstairs prepping for my podcast show. We were just going to do a regular episode, and Savannah came downstairs and said, Charlie's been shot. It's just so crazy.
Yeah.
I couldn't even comprehend what she was saying.
Right. Yeah.
As obviously we just immediately canceled the show and sent everybody home.
Exactly.
And,
We did the exact same thing. From the moment I found out he had been shot, we went to trying to find out if he's okay. And then when I saw the video, I couldn't function for like 3 days. We just went on.
Yeah. The majority of the world, except for Turning Point USA, I think felt that way, which is remarkable. I think everybody shut things down, didn't do things the next day, the day after. And there was something almost like spiritual about what happened. And the amount of emails that I've received to the exact same effect of how impacted people were. And some people who had never even heard of him, people that have never been to the United States, they just something about that video and the way that he died. And we've obviously seen a lot of violence and a lot of crimes over the years, but that was something different.
Yeah. Right. Now, I want to get to talk to you about your show. Like, it's been a lot of people attacking you on your work about Charlie's assassination. It seems like they really misunderstand what your show is about. It's like, from my perspective, is you're not making any declarations about who killed him or what happened. It's like you putting out things that you're following, like leads, and then you putting it out to the public to share with everybody what's going on and what information you have. Am I right about that?
Yeah, it has been very strange to see the immediate reaction that people had. Some people, I would not say the majority opinion, obviously, but the people in media were certainly offended at the prospect of people investigating what happened on that day, which to me signals that there was a foregone conclusion. And that foregone conclusion was Tyler Robinson did it and he acted alone. And you could just see that there was a lot of money that was backing this idea that to even investigate anything regarding what happened on September 10th was a sin greater than what happened on September 10th. It was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Right. And looks like a lot of these attacks are coming from the right, which is shocking to me.
Yeah, it's like they've been trying to label you as a grifter
and just trying to discredit you as a grifter.
Yeah. To be honest, it has not been the right, but it has been the Zionists on the right.
Oh,
and
okay.
I think
that's a huge distinction.
Which is a huge distinction, because I think the right has been infiltrated by the Never Trumpers, and sure, they call themselves the right, but they're not. They're just the pro-Israel. If they have to be on the left to support Israel, then they're on the left. They were happy to try to assist Hillary Clinton in winning back in 2016 because they were so virulently anti-Trump. But now they love Trump, and even though they wanted DeSantis, they love Trump. And so we're just dealing with neocons, and there's nothing actually conservative about them. They have some talking points. I'd like lower taxes, but then they are pro-war all the time, which obviously makes entirely no sense.
Yeah.
There has definitively been, you could see where the line is. If you support Israel, you do not support the investigation into who killed Charlie Kirk. I wonder why.
Right. It's almost like they're scared what you're going to find, whether it's going to be something, nefarious and turning point, or it's going to eventually lead to Israel. That's the gist I get from it. It's like they're scared that you're digging, that you're asking the question. That's like one of Charlie's biggest motto is like, keep asking questions. That's how you know we're still free. And it's like they're going away from what Charlie really wanted Turning Point to become.
Yeah. And to be clear, Charlie died allowing people to ask him questions,
Right.
to prod narratives. And they're trying to convince us that his legacy will only be protected if we all agree not to ask any questions about how he died, which doesn't make sense. And they've, despite having tons of money and financing that sort of psychological operation, it has failed. It has failed because
Right.
people realize that what is obvious is they are not upholding any of the values that Charlie held dear. And free speech would be primary among them, the values that he held dear. And so it has been an interesting time. And I agree with you. Most people were not comforted by the fact that Bibi Netanyahu felt it necessary in the immediate aftermath to declare that he didn't kill Charlie Kirk.
That was evil.
And that it was very strange. I don't know if you felt the need to say that on your podcast. I didn't feel the need to come out and say that on my podcast.
Right.
It's not a normal thing to feel that you need to declare
Right.
immediately after somebody is shot and killed that you didn't kill them, unless you most certainly did.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So-
Like I was really upset when it happened because a few months before it happened, there was a man on the roof that tried to take out President Trump. And it's like, that's the first thing I would look at as the security. If I was security for Charlie, was to always keep an eye on the roof. It's like common sense. How does someone get up on the roof?
Yeah.
How do they allow something like that to happen?
Because if anybody's going to try to take someone's life, it's always going to be from a distance.
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And when we obviously were then subjected to Brian Harpole's very unconvincing interview with Sean Ryan, he shows one text message that's not even his. It's actually Dan Flood's. And he says, look, we asked about roof access. And we got one response that said, yeah, I'll look into that for you. And that's all they did. And as I was investigating, I determined that they absolutely were only referring to that walkway that was behind Charlie. They never came early. They never did a walkthrough. The only thing they were concerned about, and they kept insisting to the UVU police, was that they wanted to make sure that Charlie's car had a clean exit. That was their primary concern. The university had advised against Charlie doing an event outside in that location because of the fact that they could not control traffic flow. So that makes sense. If we can't check your tickets and make sure you're here for this event and know who you are, you're a sitting duck. And despite this, Turning Point insisted that that's what Charlie wanted. He wanted to be outdoors. And so they even declined the security recommendations from both the police and UVU. So
That's amazing.
definitely is very strange.
Yeah. I mean, when you work with Charlie, I mean, he didn't build that organization alone. Honestly, you had a big part in that. When y'all went to these Q&As, how effective was security? I mean, I would think y'all would have like president level security.
That event was nothing like anything I had ever seen. They allege on the Turning Point side that Charlie had done some outdoor event. I think it was here actually in Tennessee. And he had then loved that sort of Coliseum setup, the amphitheater setup so much that he wanted that going forward. So that was something recently that they said that he was demanding. Obviously, no, of course, basic security protocol. Even if I said, I really want this,
Right.
the security team would say, well, you really can't have this because it's just not secure.
Right.
And everyone is telling you not to do this. And clearly what Charlie wanted, Charlie didn't get at his organization. You could see that even in terms of how they were controlling who could come speak. So the idea that this one thing they allowed him to push through and say, oh no, he's got to have that Coliseum set up doesn't ring true to me. It seems like somebody else was pushing for that. Of course, the security could have said to him no, especially because he's contracting them and their reputations are on the line. There was no pushback at all. There was only push forward on the Turning Point USA side, the security apparatus. Typically, of course, there's traffic control. There are tickets. They know who's buying those tickets, and people are reserved. So that was just all completely violated. Anybody could have walked up and sat down in that event if they wanted to. Everything that I saw, even from Terrell being there, was the first time that that's ever happened. He's the guy who notoriously filmed himself after Charlie got shot and said Charlie's dead within 2 minutes. And then right after that, rather than running toward this person that he's worked with for over a decade or calling 911, it's amazing. None of them thought to call 911. He runs down to remove the cameras. And so one of my first questions was, why was Terrell there? I've done tons of events. Terrell doesn't go to these school events. And they said, well, we were trying something new that day. Like what? An assassination? Like,
Yeah,
I don't,
that's
what were you
weird.
trying
You don't
new?
try things new in the middle of a Q&A. That
Yeah,
is
and
stupid.
even stranger is that Terrell, they were trying something new that day, but don't forget they had scheduled Charlie to have an event just 10 days later at UVU. He also had an event later that week at Colorado. Terrell wasn't slated to be there. So they were not just trying something new. They were trying something new for just one day that required Terrell. There was no communication between Terrell and the events team for the events that were in the immediate future. There was no security planned for the event that Charlie had the very next day at Colorado. There was no communication. No. So it's almost like the security knew that that event was not going to take place.
You know what's crazy? Like when what happened to President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania? Conservatives really attacked the FBI. We really went after them. So that was an inside job. They're trying to
Secret Service.
Yeah. The incompetence that the females, what they were doing that day, it's like we really went after the FBI. The people that was in charge were protecting him, right? And it's like when we go trying to go after the truth about Charlie Kirk, it's like people start labeling us like bad faith actors and conspiracy theorists. Yeah. Why do you think the switch up? Why is he trying to label people on the right just trying to really find out about Charlie? Why are they trying to paint us as like just grifters and conspiracy theorists?
Because the boss has a boss. Trump took $200 million from Miriam Adelson. Charlie stepped on Bibi Netanyahu's toes when he went head to head to him over Iran. Back in May, I believe, was when it was Operation Midnight Hammer when we bombed Fort Dow, and Bibi wanted a full front war at that time, and Charlie convinced the president that that was not a good idea, and he stood up to the entire Zionist lobby who were in his ears. I think Bibi viewed him as problematic. They were very upset about Tucker's speech, and Charlie had said he was abandoning the, Israel cause. And so I think what you're seeing is that Trump has a boss. And so much of what we see in DC is just an illusion. I think we've always been aware that there is a deep state. And I would say that the proliferation of the deep state was certainly after JFK was assassinated in 1963.
Yeah, when I think of the deep state, I think of Israel. And that's how I really was drawn to Trump, because of the deep state and the shadow government controlling our government. We want to put America first. And so far, I think we're getting anything but that.
I agree. There has been a massive letdown. I think if there's one thing that I'm happy about, it's that we certainly proved, the rhetoric was always, MAGA is a cult, MAGA is a cult. Well, I think we've certainly proven that we are not. And when he started to go back on his promises, I mean, his consistent attacking of Thomas Massie. Can we get the energy that you have towards Thomas Massie, toward the investigation into who killed Charlie Kirk? That'd be great. It's not exactly what we were uniting behind. MAGA wasn't like, let's take down Thomas Massie. This is our number one problem.
Right.
And so it's almost like somebody has his phone and somebody is telling him what to say, when to say it. And that's, you just don't get $200 million and not owe somebody. And $200 million, it seems to me, seems to have been the cost for this administration.
I think his attacks on Thomas Massie and Marjorie Greene is when he calls them names, it's like an ulterior motive that he's not sharing with MAGA. I think he's doing it for foreign interests, and he's not really putting America first. Like his attacks on Marjorie Greene, calling her a traitor. I remember when I went to one of his rallies and I met Marjorie, and she was discussing about I really think they're trying to put Trump in jail. And she looked very concerned. She was very worried about him. And then to see him to go on TV and to call her a traitor, it's like, it really pissed me off.
I think a lot of us felt that way for that exact same reason. People that took real risks to support him, people that were willing to be tarnished, how the reputation's tarnished for supporting him when it was not popular to do so. You see how quickly he will flip on you if you don't worship his perspectives, because he needs the compliment that what he's doing is right, even when it's wrong. And Charlie was that rare person who would tell him the base is not going to like this, as he did with our involvement in Iran. Like, this was one of your promises that we weren't going to get involved, and you're not delivering on that. He no longer has that perspective in his ear. So he has just a bunch of Zionists telling him, showing him articles that have been written by Zionists. Everybody loves you. This is great. And you can see that misdirection. It's like he's putting things out there that are so obviously not going to make his base happy. And you have to wonder who is informing these terrible perspectives. And the answer is Israel's entire apparatus that has infiltrated. And so he's not even, I don't even really think there's a conversation to be had about what Trump's going to do anymore. It's Bibi Netanyahu. What does Bibi Netanyahu want, and what is America going to get?
Do you think that's hurting his base going forward, like Republican voters, like in the next presidential election? Do you think the Republicans are going to lose a lot of steam if they feel like the Republican nominee is going to be an Israel first president?
Left and right. If you are Israel first, you're probably not going to secure the nomination. That's what I would say.
But back to Charlie, I don't mean to flip-flop around. I've noticed Erika referred to Turning Point as family. And I know you say you was really close with Charlie. Y'all was like close friends. Without going into anything private, of course, or personal, can you describe that dynamic, your relationship with Charlie? Like, did he confide in you, or did he use you as a resource when things was heavy at Turning Point, or he just needed a resource to fine-tune things?
Yeah, I mean, Charlie and I came up together. So, I mean, people don't know who you
That's
are,
true.
and then you find, some degree of fame, notoriety, whatever it is that you want to call it, and you are constantly in a state of war. So I feel like he was the person beside me in like a 300 battle. You know what I mean? It was constant, and forget it. And then the jealousy of when Kanye tweeted us, and then everyone came out of the woodwork, and it brings a smile to my face, because it was fun. It was a lot of work, and it was fun, and we went everywhere, and we traveled everywhere, and we did it on a micro budget, terrible hotels that it would just pain me.
Right.
Yeah, it was one of the things that just laughing, reading through all the messages, like, the suitcase didn't go through at an airport. Walmart opens at 5 a.m. We have Fox at 6 a.m. Like, could you get to Walmart? Could you grab, that sort of a thing. So it was very much a brother and sister relationship. And of course, Charlie dating before he married Erika. So all of those things where he's confiding in who he likes, and I'm drafting text messages for him to send to this person or that person. I mean, I even showed the text message. I felt like I was basically dating these girls, because I was like, should I send this? Should I send this? Should I wear this? I'm like, no, you shouldn't wear this. No, you should not send this.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm older than Charlie, so I was very much like big sister, younger brother, but more like smart guy. Tia Tamara, like your younger brother, also happens to be a genius.
Right. So you did everything for Charlie. You used to dress him up and everything, huh?
yeah, for sure. Charlie, Charlie with the baggy suits. People who knew Charlie with the baggy suits, that was a phase, which has been one of the more upsetting things to me about like Don Trump, because Don was definitely his friend. He was a part of that, and I just expected Don to say more, and he didn't. But yeah, it brings a smile on my face. It was a time, and then I got engaged. Obviously, he started dating Erika the same year that I got engaged, and life takes you in different directions. And I could see the pull of Turning Point, what they wanted to build Turning Point into after the Kanye tweet, and I was against it. There was a lot of misconception regarding why I moved away from being the communications director. The reality is I didn't like Stacey Sheridan. I thought that she was money hungry. I expressed that to Charlie. And I felt that the people that they were suddenly hiring were obsessed with money and power. And when Charlie got into it, it was truly for love of country, but people forget he was young. He was really young. You start an organization when you're 18. And to be in your early 20s, especially for men, like, it is true, men mature later than women do. So
Oh, you don't want to know what I was doing at 18. That was horrible. Yeah, that's amazing.
So
what
it
Charlie
becomes
accomplished at
very,
18.
I think, tantalizing. People are pulling you in different directions, and if you do this, you could be president, you could do that, and you can get mixed in very easily with the wrong people. And politics is a pit of snakes. It's actually
Right.
hard not to end up with the wrong people. And I count myself among the naive. By the way, I was working for Daily Wire. I mean, that seems crazy to me, and that was just a few years ago.
That was a huge
Perga
you.
Yeah, it is. There's an innocence to being young. There's a naivety to being young. It's so ridiculous when people pretend Charlie couldn't have made any mistakes in terms of who he selected as his lieutenants.
Right.
Clearly he did. Clearly he did.
Yeah. Do you think I think Charlie was a great guy from what I've seen and when I met him. But do you think, like in an organization like that, do you think over time you'll be manipulated by money and just trying to keep the organization going? You'll sacrifice your integrity here just a little bit because the money is there and you need it to keep this bigger picture open, to keep this organization going.
Yeah, I think that happens naturally. I mean, look, we're human, right? And there are, of course, going to be all of these pitfalls. We all have vices, and I just remember, I don't think I've ever showed it, but Charlie was he used to draw out these little charts of his goals. He was very into writing his goals down. We used to write our goals down, and they were usually metrics, like numerical metrics, like by the end of this year, I want to have 10,000 Instagram followers or 20,000 Twitter followers, like those sorts of things. Sort of envision these things, but there was no question that he would show this is how much I want to raise financially. So we're using this metric of success as where my finances are at, which is not totally wrong. If I did set down a chart and said I want to make sure that I have $50,000 in the bank by the time I'm 40, whatever it is, that's. But then when you have the wrong people around you and they're telling you oh, this is the person you need to meet, this is the person you need to be, and you're ignoring the morality of that person or how that person became rich. I mean, Miriam Adelson, what is the Adelson legacy? It's gambling. It's pharmaceuticals. Then you can get yourself into trouble pretty quickly.
Yeah. So it sounds like y'all had different visions for Turning Point. Y'all started to go separate ways. You met your husband, he met his wife, and then over time, seems like Charlie started to miss your input, and he probably started to determine that, hey, maybe this is not the course I want to take. Turning Point. Did he make that confession to you?
We never stopped touring together. I stopped being communications directors, but then we just went on tour. And so we never fell out of communication. We always spoke. We were speaking a lot about faith towards the last year, I would say, 2024, 2025, the last 2 years, speaking about faith because I would say that the Zionist question was coming up. So that was definitely catalyzing that discussion. And obviously what he saw that was done to me, he knew who I was. He didn't like what happened. He didn't like the Daily Wire had done to me. He was very clear and vocal in his support for me. So it led to the political questions, led to philosophical questions. The philosophical questions led to spiritual questions. And so for sure, Charlie was changing. There's no question that Charlie was changing, and he was considering Catholicism, which would have been a major upset to his evangelical donor base. More importantly, an upset to his Zionist donor base. And we obviously showed the squeeze that he was going through toward the end, trying to maintain friendships with Tucker. And he was done in the end. I mean, on September 9th, the day before he died, he was texting people saying, I want Candace back at AmFest, because he had allowed Zionists to peer pressure him into not inviting me because I was going through my Daily Wire thing. And, they control the money, they make the demands. And he was just done with it. He expressed that to people, said, I don't care about the money anymore. So for him to make that declaration on the 9th and then to be done on the 10th, I suppose that's BB's fortune. He's just fortunate that way or something, that he was asserting that he was done with Israel. And then the next thing you know, he was gone, and Israel was trying to control his legacy and to pretend that period of transition wasn't happening. And it was. And obviously that's why it was really important for me to get out the truth.
Right. After his death, everyone noticed, the left and the right, how Erika was grieving. Like at his funeral, when she came out to those pyrotechnics and the way she was dressed, I bit my tongue. I thought it was weird, but everybody grieves differently. And I fed into that. Everybody grieves differently. I don't think anybody grieves like that.
It's one of these things, these like psychological tricks, that they always argue in the extremities, right? So it's like everybody, when they're growing up, like, you know, you're a girl or you're a boy when you're born, right? And then they'll be like, but what about this percentage of people that are actually born and they're hermaphrodite? That therefore means that, you know, gender dysphoria is real because this could have happened. And you're like, whoa, please stop arguing in the extremes. Like you are not an exception. Where there is this whole realm of rules, and let's stop arguing with the exceptions, okay?
Right.
Personally, the only exception that I have seen to the rule of grieving in this manner with the pyrotechnics and the glitter and the laughter is Erika. Now, I've seen other ways of grieving, as in people who just, you know, don't want to be seen for a while, or people who drink. You know, there's all of these other ways that people grieve, people who get into drugs, whatever it is. But generally, we recognize as humans what is within the realm of normal grieving. And this was the first time I've seen it done in this way. Especially when you add into the fact that this was a public execution and the entire world had a normal spiritual response to that, as we discussed earlier. We would therefore expect, since people who did not know Charlie could not get out of bed, that you would perhaps expect that of his wife. And then if you remove that part, if you remove the CEO, maybe, okay, some people want to throw themselves into work. It certainly helps me to get back to some sense of normalcy, not in that regard of wanting to become the CEO of a chairman of a company. But even if you removed all of that, I think the part that no one can make an excuse for is not instantly worrying about the safety of your kids.
Right.
If you just watch your husband be assassinated and you realize my kids only have one parent left, and I don't know how this happened, your natural instinct is to not leave your children's side.
Right. Great
and
point.
So I think that to me was the loudest part. You know, you have your pyrotechnics, say you want to be the CEO, but to be present and at the office every day, days later, that doesn't track.
Right. Yeah. You released a voicemail of Erika talking to, I forget who she was talking to, but she was sharing some of the financials over the funeral of Charlie and how much money they made. It sounds like she was gloating about the money and she didn't really care about, I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to offend anybody. It's just like you was happy about the money and how good it went. And your husband's past it's like you almost forgot about your husband because it was a financial success.
So I just tell you how I experienced that call. I was spiritually disturbed by it. That's the truth. And everyone was. I didn't need to contextualize the call. The call was, this is 11 days, not even 2 weeks after your husband was assassinated. You are referring to the memorial as the event of the century and discussing how much money you made off of selling T-shirts and hats. And then it almost felt like it was obligatory for her to then realize, like, oh, I should say something about Charlie. And it's like, oh, Charlie's dancing in heaven. He's like, get to work. And then, he's up there and he's like, more hats. I feel like if he's up there, he's probably like, please figure out what happened to me. Because they're lying to you, obviously, if we're doing that. Right. So that contrast and sort of what I really felt from it was emotional manipulation. They were manipulating people to think that it was almost like divine, that they're a part of this turning point family. And we've experienced this together. And the best way that we can cope with this tragedy is to work harder and to work longer days and weekends and 20 hours, because that's what Charlie would want. Like, that's what makes Charlie dance in heaven. It made me feel disgusted to listen to it, if I'm being frank.
Right.
As even if you didn't know Charlie, that was the general feeling.
Yeah,
and
like
except for the media, who keeps trying to tell us.
Yeah, screw the hats, screw the money. I'd rather have my husband. That's
right.
I'm like, why are you even saying these things?
I was even expecting, like, okay, if you're going to say, like, if that's me and I'm like, I'm going to get to work. And for me, I then got obsessed because at first I couldn't watch the clip. My husband didn't let me watch it
Traumatic.
So I saw the clip from afar of him getting shot, but I did not see the clip of him up close. And I'm glad he didn't let me watch that because I wasn't, I couldn't have dealt with that. It was a lot. Then I watched it obsessively and I watched every single angle and I organized, this angle from the side, left. And so my work was dedicated to trying to figure out what happened that day. Who was there? What are the names of the people?
Mm-hmm.
Even if she had jumped on that call, the one that was 5 days later before the event, and said, here's what we're going to do. Like the events team, I want a list of every person that was there. I want, this, I want that. I want to know every single minute. Terrell, you bring me the tapes. Then I would say, okay, she's getting to work to solve who killed her husband.
Right.
But it wasn't that.
Right.
It was like, I fully accept the narrative on day 5. Here's what we're going to do. We got to plan for the memorial. That's missing. You can't skip that process. You can't skip it. And looking at Vanessa Bryant, Kobe Bryant's wife, she went through all of the right emotions. She was suing everybody. She was angry. Right. She was aggrieved. There were no pyrotechnics at the memorial event.
Right.
Even the differences in her speech, like Erika is talking about Turning Point, what Turning Point's going to be. You didn't get to learn who Charlie was in that speech. It was like he was just a company. And Vanessa's speech, she speaks about her daughter and all the things she's going to miss about her daughter, things that we didn't know about Kobe. Like we were invited into that because we knew him as a basketball player, but this was her husband. And she spoke about what it was like not knowing that she wasn't going to be there when Gianna got married. And I say to people, you should challenge yourself to go watch Vanessa's speech and then compare it to Erika's memorial speech, and you will see what is missing here.
Right. Yeah. Right. It doesn't seem real. But the way you explained yourself, and like I just wanted to show the human side of you because I see the attacks people are trying to make on you. It's like you genuinely want to find out who killed your best friend. That's the vibe I get. And from what I see from the people on the right, I mean, I'm not even going to call them on the right. I would say Zionist, Israel First Republicans. But I think it's if you were getting 10,000 views and wasn't making any money while you were doing it, I don't think they would have a problem. I think they're pretty much pissed off at your success. Yeah. But you were having a lot of great success before this Charlie Kirk incident happened. Right.
Yeah, that was, they have nothing to judge me on. And that's what they're really upset with is these are the people that actually tried to grift off of his death. They sold T-shirts, they sold hats. Turning Point USA made $250 million in a couple of months. So it's just stunning that Erika sits up on Fox News and she says to people that are making tens and thousands of dollars on YouTube, okay, $250 million grift. Like, are you kidding me? In a couple of months? Like, that's just wild to me because they were referring to YouTubers even that were speaking about like the ballistic ones that were going viral. She's like, do you understand how much money they're making? I'm like, yeah, no, actually, do you understand how much money they're making? Because it's a drop in the bucket compared to what Turning Point USA has made. Like, they're trying to make it seem like everybody on YouTube now went from making $0 to hundreds of thousands of dollars or something like that, which couldn't be further from the truth. Our podcast was already top 10 globally. Right. Don't forget, this is part of why Brigitte is suing me, because she's saying that my podcast was successful only because I found out that she has a penis, right? Like, it can't be everyone keeps saying this. When I did the Kamala Chronicles and we were top 3 globally, at the end of last year, they were like, oh, it's only because of the election. And then when the Blake Lively series went viral and Blake Lively's people issued a statement, it was like, oh, it's only because of Blake Lively. It's like, calm down. Like, calm down, narcissists. It's because I'm dedicated to investigating things that I'm passionate about. And you could not have stumbled upon something that I am going to be more passionate about than finding out what happened to Charlie, because, and I explained this to my husband, it felt like there was a part of my political life, like a political innocence that died with Charlie. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah, and that's why I go back to this, looking back at these texts of, oh my God, Charlie, Don Jr. just followed me. Eric Trump just followed me on Instagram. Right. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Yeah. Like, in the future, we might be invited to speak on CPAC stage. Like, we sound like kids. And because we were, in a way, we were political kids. And we didn't understand how deep and how evil and I guess how dangerous politics could become. Yeah. And so I had to mourn that too. Like, this was recognition that this actually happened and the people who should be protecting Charlie and who he gave his life to are silent. So, yeah. You stumbled upon. You already knew I liked to investigate evil, and then you committed an act of evil that was personal to me. So surprise, I'm here.
How does it feel, Candace, being you was at one point number one and you fluctuating between 1 and 10, top 10 globally in podcasts? How does it feel to, after what happened at Daily Wire when they gave you a show and said it was uncancelable, and then you started to make criticisms that they didn't like, and then they canceled you essentially? I mean, how does that feel?
Yeah.
Because that had to have been scary.
Feels amazing.
Yeah.
It gets into this. I mean, it's almost biblical, right? It's like Satan will always tempt you with money. And it is instantly gratifying to say, I can give you millions of dollars, but you have to be immoral or you have to shut up on immorality. And the majority of people are willing to make that deal because it's in your face and the money is being offered to you and it's guaranteed versus the unknown. The unknown is scary. Like not knowing something is scary. And like I said, it goes back to the idea of the forbidden fruit of knowledge, right? You know this, and so you're tempted by it, and you're gonna bite into it. Versus like I'm gonna be ignorant here, but trust God. And I felt that came to me on the topic of Gaza. And it wasn't just like they fired me; they tried to ruin my life. I mean, they were behind pressuring Turning Point not to have me speak. So Charlie and I were discussing that, what was going on behind the scenes. That was very much them. The Zionist lobby getting canceled from touring. They didn't even want me to be able to make an income outside of podcasting. They got my YouTube demonetized. They like organized a campaign to mass report my YouTube right when I was starting it. And we dealt with every blow. It's just like one day at a time. And so when we were, which was pretty instantly at the end of Q4 of 2024, like instantly in the top 3 podcasts in the US and then top 10 globally by, I think, July of last year. It felt amazing. And I said, we should really just take time to reflect and that we survived this, and we survived it by doing the right thing. And I want people to know that there's insecurity and not knowing what's on the other side of things. I've been there. I have felt it. It is scary. It kind of feels like a rug is being pulled from under your feet. But you can choose to do deals with Satan, or you can trust God. And I would strongly recommend the latter. Yeah.
You think that's why Ben Shapiro was like infatuated with you?
Bro, he has every Candace cup. I know he does. He's like, no one, he watches my show like this.
Yeah, this seems like they're making a show dedicated to attack you.
Yeah, that's nuts.
It's crazy. It's insane. It's like gang stalking.
Right.
But I go back to what I said on my show the other day is like, you have to understand, like when you do deals with Satan, like he's not the creator. He is constantly trying to rebel against the creator, so he can't create. And so when these people get rid of people that are good and godly, Charlie got rid of me because I said, yeah, I know you can't just mass murder kids. Genocide is always wrong, I think was notoriously what I said. That started the whole thing, got the whole snowball rolling down the hill. But so what are they stuck with? Bringing back my old channels, like still trying to like, please, I can't create anything of value. Let me try to make fun of her. And they don't even do that well. Like their memes aren't funny.
Yeah.
Because you just don't have the creative flow. That's what happens.
Right.
So
like Matt Walsh, Michael Knowles, I'm not sure how close you got to them while you were at the Daily Wire. Why do you think they're still with the Daily Wire and they're not on their own?
I've asked myself that question. What I can say is yes, I had great relationships, still do. Matt, Michael, Brett Cooper, who did get out of there gratefully. And you never know what someone else's burden is. I mean, I know what I went through. And like I said, it wasn't easy. If I'm putting myself in Matt Walsh's shoes, like I said, it's a known. He's able to work from home. He has 6 kids. I think men carry different burdens than women do. And so I try not to read into it too much. But I do know that they are good people. And I've had a good experience with them. They never did anything wrong to me, ever. They never waded into the territory of doing anything wrong to me when I was going through all of that stuff. So, I have enough enemies. I don't need to make any more. And I'm always praying for them. They're also we're brothers and sisters in Christ as well. So you just have, I pray for them all the time.
Right. It seemed like very good Christians, but Ben, he seems very vindictive. like you don't want to cross that man's path. Hey, I want to switch up a little bit. What do you think about that Alex Preddy shooting when they shot him 9 times in the back? An unarmed man.
It's funny. I was just doing this interview speaking about that over on a Russian show. And I would like more time to process that because first and foremost, if you had asked me this question back in 2016, when I actually thought that our government, Trump's going to take over, this is going to be about law and order, and it's going to be so great because we're going to have troops go after all these criminals, I probably would have been like, yeah, you can't do this to, like, I don't know who's controlling our military. I'm still stuck at who killed Charlie Kirk, and there's a lot of military implications.
Right.
So you can't expect me to root on a government body. Like when he's like, "Oh, I'm going to in DC." He deployed. I'm saying NATO in my brain. The National Guard in DC, and I was going, I don't like this because Israel's controlling Trump. So that means they're at the helm of our military, and so that's kind of the exercise that I'm constantly going through in my head when these things happen. Like, of course, I have always had respect for law enforcement. And of course, you can see how enraged this woman is. And like these people are, I'm talking about the one that drove first in Minnesota, and that became a scandal. And then you had this guy, Alex Pretty, and it seemed like he was definitely engaging. But I just need more time to process what's actually happening in this country because I'm now considering greater costs than what's in front of our face. So I don't know where I'm at and all that. I haven't spent much time looking at what's happening in Minnesota because I think a lot of it is being blown up in the media because they don't want us focused on Charlie Kirk's assassination.
Right.
Like Jimmy Dore had an episode the other day, and I'm not sure how I can process this. I don't know how true this is, but it seems like it's true. He said there's a bunch of IDF soldiers working as ICE.
Yeah, former IDF soldiers.
Yeah, former.
That's true.
And they're being trained in
and
Israel.
So I think the goal is to make us root for ICE, and what we're going to get is the IDF, and I'm not going to do that. So
I see.
That is true. It is 100% true that we have IDF, and there are some current IDF soldiers, like Israeli citizens, that are working for ICE. And why? Because we're talking about the border. We're talking about who the number one traffickers in the world are in Tel Aviv. Okay. And I sense that that's what's happening down at the border, and that they are trying to create an issue that makes us root on ICE because they're planning on taking over ICE. So trying to figure out how to thread that needle while making it clear that I do support law enforcement.
Right.
And there are tons of brave men and women stand up for our military, but I do not support the corruption of our military, which has been going on for decades.
Right.
I want to show you this clip of Trump. He was asked about the Epstein files.
Here's the clip, Ken.
Epstein conspired against me. So that takes care of Epstein as far as Trump is concerned. But you got a lot of Democrats out there that are very much involved with Epstein. But I'll be honest with you, you got to get back to running the country, too.
On the Epstein files, you talk about Democrats who were in there. Elon Musk was also in there, and so was your Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, and correspondence that he had with him. Did you read those new files that were published Department of Justice?
I have a lot of things I'm doing, a lot of things I'm doing. I don't know. You mentioned 2 names. I'm sure they're fine. Otherwise, it would have been major headlines. I think it's really time for the country to get onto something else, really. Now that nothing came out about me, other than it was a conspiracy against me, literally, by Epstein and other people. But I think it's time now for the country to maybe get onto something else.
What would you say to the survivors who
you are the worst reporter. No wonder CNN has no ratings because of people like you. She's a young woman. I don't think I've ever seen you smile. I've known you for 10 years. I don't think I've ever seen a smile in your face.
I'm asking you about survivors.
You know why you're not smiling? Because you know you're not telling the truth. And you're a very dishonest organization. and they should be ashamed of you.
The first time I saw that, it was out of context, and he was just berating her. I was like, wow, he really roasted her. She must have said something stupid. Then I went back, Candace, and I looked at the full video, and I looked at the context. I'm like, why did he snap like that?
Well, he doesn't want to discuss the Epstein files even before the dump, right? So we knew that, obviously, and I think maybe Project Veritas had done some work and said that his had revealed a video that someone said his donors were in the files, and we obviously have not received the full files. It's very obvious that what's missing are the current active Mossad type agents in the United States that we know were intimately involved with Epstein. So he's wanted to turn the chapter on that full stop. Is she being intentionally provocative? Yes, of course, it's CNN. Is she trying to make it seem like Trump was implicated in the Epstein files? For sure. But to her broader point, saying that the victims of abuse, that is a valid question. So when you say let's turn the page on the Epstein files, you are making a remark that impacts the people who were swept up in what was a child sex trafficking operation, which is still being covered by the elites who it served, which, by the way, it goes right back to Israel, and that's why he doesn't want to discuss it. And I want to be clear, this is what I mean when I say he's out of touch with his voters. We care about this. Okay. Moms care about whether or not child rapists are running the world. Dads care about whether or not child rapists are running the world. That's not a leftist talking point. If we can't protect children, we're not even a nation, right?
Right.
We have totally violated the social contract with our government has totally violated the social contract if we can't even protect children.
Right.
So this is why people feel like we're on the brink of a civil war, because they're kind of saying, yeah, we don't care. Yeah, sure. We had an island. Sure. It was built after an Egyptian temple. Children were being sacrificed. It had a sublayer, but we're now over that because we got him out of a prison and he's happily living probably in Tel Aviv. Like, that's not going to work. That can't be the messaging going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just don't like when he keeps calling it a hoax. It's like, why would you use that verbiage? Why would you use that language to describe the Epstein files?
It's like a smack in the face to all the victims of him.
Yeah.
It's because they do think that we're a cult. And I think Trump started to believe that everything he said his followers would get behind because we fought so hard for him when he was actually wronged. But the important piece that he's missing is he had actually been wronged. In this circumstance, the victims of Epstein's network were the people that were actually harmed.
Right. What do you think about a lot of Christians are not familiar with the Talmud or the faith of Judaism? Like this term is called Goyim. It's a reference that's been going viral. And if you look on Google, people are actually starting to become familiar about this term, and it's an eye-opening experience for a lot of people. Like, they're not familiar with the culture of Israelis spitting on Christians in Israel.
Yeah.
And what does that term Christianity mean to you? Or is it just bullshit?
It's to me, it's one of the infinite genders that's been created by the left. You know, it's like, we'll just hyphenate. He's a he, she, Z, B, 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 they be. You're a Christian. You can be a Christian. You can be a Jew. You can be a Muslim. Once you get into hyphenating, what we're trying to do is it's just a psychological operation. But I also want to be clear, I do not view Israel has nothing to do with Judaism. That's just its latest mask. And I talk about this on my show. Even that plays into Israel's hand by allowing them to conflate Israel with Judaism. Okay. This is just a radical group of warmongers. Zionism is a political philosophy. Actually, that religion is satanic when you get into it. It's mysticism that informed the creation of the modern state of Israel. And I cover this extensively on my book club. And it's Sabbatianism, it's Frankism. That is their actual faith. They're masquerading as Jews. At times, they masquerade as Christians. That's why you have these Judeo-Christian types like pastors, Rob McCoy, and those ilk. What unites them is Israel. And their political philosophy is Zionism. So that's my perspective.
Officer Tatum, he called himself a what do you call himself?
A black Zionist.
Well, look. So first,
Yeah, go ahead.
what are your thoughts? Go ahead. I'll let you go.
Yeah, I love him. He's got a beautiful family. I don't wish no ill will toward him.
We've
but
had him on our podcast.
Yeah, and I haven't lost no respect for him. I want to bring him back on the show. It's like, but when I hear people say they're black Zionists, I'm like, where do you think he's getting his information from?
I'm not sure. I think I would love to have that conversation with him. I would definitely love to take him through the history of Zionism because I think he's probably getting it, to be honest, from church. If we think about where most people's perspectives, and I include my former perspectives on Zionism, right? I was with Charlie. We were like, yeah, sure, we're Christian Zionists.
Right.
And a lot of history is intentionally rinsed from the textbooks at school. And so our understanding of history almost comes from like movies when I revisit my prior ideas.
Right.
You know, the worst thing that ever happened was World War II and the Holocaust. It's like what we know is what's put in front of us. And so I would obviously love an opportunity to put something else in front of him. Brandon, to me, he's like a brother. So I have the same relationship with Brandon that I have with Charlie. Right. Charlie will annoy me if I have something to say to Charlie. Always went directly to Charlie, constantly bickering behind the scenes. You know what I mean? So I see Brandon as like a cousin. And so I can't wait to see Brandon. I'm going to give Brandon a noogies. That's actually what I do when I see Brandon.
Right.
So we have a long conversation that we need to have, and we haven't had an opportunity in a while, but you know, I have a lot of love for Brandon, and obviously I think you don't have to stretch your imagination to see that we very much disagree on this topic, but it's allowed. We're allowed to disagree, and I hope that I can bring him to my side.
Yeah, he did our interview after he left Israel. They said they only spit on him once. I was like, why would you? Did you see that?
And when you go on these Israeli tours, because I did it with Charlie, they take you towards certain things, and it is intentional propaganda. It is so intentional. And when I was there, I did not like Israel. Charlie was like, this is amazing. Charlie was, oh, this is wonderful. It's safe. I'm like, Charlie, I feel like we're being taken on a tour of exactly what they want us to see. And I sense tension. I sense unhappiness. I was not a fan of Israel. It was my least favorite place that I had visited, even when I was a Zionist. So, yeah, I just disagree with everything that Israel is doing. The Likud party, I think they're a band of terrorists. And because they are a band of terrorists. So
you know what, Candace?
We'll see. I will do my best when I see Brandon to put some other stuff in front of him and see if it makes an impact.
What you experienced, I have had family that went over there, and he said, man, he felt and he's not popular like you, so I'm sure they was giving you the red carpet, but he was just there, right? And he said, man, those people treated him like he was an animal. And he said when he came into contact after Israel, he went to a Muslim country. He said those people was the nicest people in the world. I was like, what? How? I said that doesn't make sense because I wasn't fully aware of what was going on with Israel and the whole history behind it and how complicated those people are when it comes to religion and Christianity. It's like it blew me away. And then now when I started to do my research, I find why they actually treat him like that, because he's wearing a cross, he's Christian, and people, and a lot of people don't understand that people of the that follow the faith of Judaism, they see other races of people, including white people, like inferior to them.
Cattle. They see us as cattle for them.
Right.
Yeah, having the souls of cattle. And I think that this conversation, which was so censored and banned, is now mainstream thanks to Jeffrey Epstein's emails, where he said that. And like I said, he said this. He was working for the Rothschild family. The Rothschilds created the nation state of Israel. And there is no question that modern Israelis, not to be confused with biblical Israelites, are avowedly racist. Like avowedly racist. It is indoctrinated into them in their youth. People that have left Israel have told me that. Like we learned this at school. Because they then have to serve for the IDF, and they are basically putting them through a psychological a brainwashing course, so that they're okay mass murdering and stealing from people and believing that it is their biblical heritage that allows them to do this. They don't even know that they're just being raised up in a satanic cult. And so I think the dam on that conversation is finally breaking, and I'm very happy about that. And you are correct about the what is in the Talmud. So when you have a person who places the Talmud above the Torah, what they are telling you is that they follow rabbinical Judaism, meaning that they have elected the rabbis to say what is right and what is wrong. They essentially saying we follow man, which means ultimately that you follow yourself, by the way, to be clear. That is what that book is. It's rabbis debating really despicable things at times. So that theological debate is happening. And to be clear, Jewish people who have nothing to do with the state of Israel, of which there are many people that we grew up with, need to be a part of that conversation. This is why people like Dave Smith are so potent, because they want you to think that every black person agrees with BLM and every Jewish person agrees with Bibi Netanyahu. We need to start separating the wheat from the chaff, and all of us should be agreeing that Israel it's just a satanic entity at this point. They're just mass murdering children and sacrificing kids to Baal. I mean, that's the extent of what they have done.
Yeah.
Kind of since the nation state was established in 1948, if we're being
right. Yeah. A lot of Christian Zionists, they call themselves that. They said it's just a part of war. I was like, that's funny you should put it that way. It's like when it happened to the Jews during World War II, you call it a Holocaust, but when it happens to anybody else except for the Jews, it's just war.
Even Christians, right?
Yeah.
No one wants to tell you the numbers of how many Christians died during World War II, and were put into the first concentration camps, which were first developed by Jews, or those who say they're Jews, Synagogue of Satan. That you look into who created those first concentration camps, and yeah, that's where you end up. And we can talk about the Bolshevik Revolution, and like I said, they worship Satan, and they're explicit in that once you get into studying those things. I'm about to do my book club today, and it's haunting that Sigmund Freud was so explicit about it, and yet people have just ignored that. They weren't hiding it. They're not hiding who they believe their Lord is. And so I think that, like I said, we now have this rare opportunity to have that discussion, and to be precise and who exactly it is that we're speaking about, because I do believe that there has been almost a satanic spell cast on America, that we, I think, are all kind of descending out of at different intervals.
Yeah, like the Democrats have figured out Israel and how it's an evil empire, but it hasn't. Well, it's getting that way on the right. Do you think that whole route is going to continue to open the eyes up on the right?
Yeah. Oh, without question. That's why I said I don't believe that in the future you can run as a Zionist and win. I don't even think Trump running on his 2016 platform, because he was openly a Zionist, but we didn't care about that because he was so America first, that we were like, even if he's pro-Israel, that's going to be like Israel third. It was going to be America, and then maybe Israel.
Right.
Actually, wouldn't have even put it as number 3 with the way that he was speaking. And I felt like there was some semblance of that throughout his first administration, but there's nothing in this one. Like, he's very clear. It's like what Bibi wants, Bibi gets, you know? That's why we call him over here the boss Bibi.
United States of Israel.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sadly.
Do you keep in touch with Ye?
With who?
Ye. Do you still stay in touch with him?
Yeah. I was gonna go see him for Thanksgiving, but
really?
I host Thanksgiving every year. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was like, I really need you to record your masters, because I have such a sense of guilt listening to his music and knowing that the wrong people are getting paid off of it, like the satanic people who literally tried to ruin his life. And so I'm hoping that he'll do that soon. He said he was trying to make time to do that. Ye is also a brother to me. And so in the context, get all people, what do you think about Ye doing this, doing that? It's like, dude, Ye's the reason why Ye and I are like kindred spirits is because I'm going to be Candace and he's going to be Ye. And I think what we both respect at the end of the day is freedom, like freedom to be who you are when you are that person and not demanding it upon other people. And so, I'm due for I want to do a sit down with him.
Yeah, to get him that will be interesting.
His masters.
Yeah. What do you think of his song, Heil Hitler?
It's just a fantastic beat. I mean, no one can deny. Who's denying the beat? And excuse me with the lyrics. Like, I always appreciate the audacity of Zionists. They're like, we killed hundreds of thousands of kids and you can't say anything. What are the lyrics here? Oh my gosh, it's worse than kill. It's just ridiculous. This like precepts of like, speech is the worst thing that could possibly happen. The reaction that we got to when I wake up, I'm going to go DEFCON 3 on some Jewish people versus like, why do you think what Bibi's doing is wrong when he literally has gone DEFCON 3 on innocent Palestinians who had nothing to do with October 7th?
Exactly.
It's all a part of their psychological games, like trying to convince you that this song is worse than what Bibi's doing. Their reaction is always that way. Like they can't even believe it. They're completely dropping to the floor and fainting. It's like, you don't like it, don't listen to it, don't buy it. That's fine. Okay.
All right. Hey, you've been having some beef with Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes.
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah, a little bit.
Alex Jones was just like tripping.
Yeah.
I personally enjoyed Alex Jones. He's very entertaining. And so seeing him sort of like, you know, they were Turning Point was throwing around a lot of money. Okay, I get it, whatever. But that was wild. His like week of, I'm going to destroy her. It was still entertaining. I will say, he's Alex Jones. I was entertained by the clips mildly. I didn't even attack him back. I genuinely was laughing because it was so over the top. It was like it was done in exactly the manner you would expect of Alex Jones.
Right.
And then he just kind of stopped. It was
The check cleared, huh?
I hate that I still like him. I don't know. There's certain people that have that effect on me, and Alex Jones is one of them where I'm like, okay, I don't know what he's spazzing out about, but I still find him to be entertaining. So
Right. So you made up with Nick?
Nick, there was nothing to make up about. I'm a very simple person. You know, I was very respectful to Nick. I had him in this house. We spoke about, I was like, here's what we're going to name the episode. We were so friendly. You welcome someone into your home. They meet your team. Everyone's super nice to you.
Right.
And then for some reason, he gets on air and completely flips, pretends that he's shocked by the title, like we didn't have a discussion about it. That even when we did the trailer for it, I told him I'm going to cut a trailer. Like we basically plotted this all together, and then he went into full theater and drama mode. And so I just know what he is. You know, people tell you who they are very early on. Listen, it's my granddad. Constantly instilled in me, and so it's like I just see him for what he is. Like it's drama, it's theater, it's akin to Jeremy Boring at the Daily Wire. And if you don't have, I don't know. I just feel like as a man, when you look someone in the eye, you give them a handshake and you get to know them and their family. That kind of like Judas culture, we just don't.
Right.
So I don't want him to be censored. Let him live his life. Whatever.
Right.
It's not for me.
Yeah. I guess I was just kind of blown away how he just talks about you. With y'all. Yeah. It's like, I don't know.
And then I was watching your show.
Maybe he is racist.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about this term that's going around, black fatigue, the emergence? Yeah.
What's that?
Oh, you haven't heard of black fatigue?
Black fatigue?
Yeah.
Do I not sound hip? Sorry. Sometimes people have to dial me in. You forget. I'm getting old, man. I got 4 kids. Come on, make me hip. What is it?
Well, it's like whenever you see obnoxious black people in public, people are filming it and they're putting a title on it. They're labeling it as black fatigue. You know how black people call white women Karens for calling the cops on a girl for, just selling water. Yeah, it's like it's very similar to that. It's black people's Karen. Yeah. Version of a Karen.
I haven't heard this term, but I always say that I had that when during BLM. I had black fatigue. I was just, I can't. I just couldn't do it. I was like, I can't with black people because we were always like the funny people. Then it was like, oh, we're so offended by like someone put her hair in braids. I'm like, what are we doing? Just can't anymore. And it got really annoying. And then it stopped. And now it's kind of transferred, and everyone's feeling the Jew fatigue right now. And it's like, oh my gosh, this person in the subway was Jewish and he got pushed. It's like, welcome to New York City. Like this is not happening to you because you're a Jew. Like, so that I just call it annoying people fatigue in general. And sometimes when they make it racial, you do get fatigue from it. But I'm not in every corner of the internet, but I definitely know that I experienced these feelings during BLM, and I don't feel it anymore though, actually. So
yeah, like when BLM started, you was very critical of BLM and the things the black community embraces. Do you think since then, how your success, your emergence, do you think black people are warming up to your message because they think that this is a racist country, it's systemically racist, and to see you as a black woman fight the Jews, the Democrats, you're fighting everybody. And
Top 10 podcasts.
Top 10 podcasts, top 1 podcast. Do you think the black community is warming up to you?
For sure, without question. I think a part of it is because the media did a really good job of making them think that I was literally just being paid to attack them, like that I didn't actually think these things, and I was just going to be focused on constantly going after Black America, like it was a Black thing. Like she hates being Black, that's why she's doing this. And it was like, no, I literally hate BLM. And I hate what the spell that they seem to be casting upon Black Americans, and thinking that this is going to deliver them to the promised land if they loot Target and get a flat screen TV because George Floyd died in Minnesota. Doesn't make any sense. I don't like stupid. And so I think what they have, now that there has been some longevity and BLM is no longer the hot topic and it's shifted, and they're seeing me critique Trump, and they're seeing me obviously with the exact same energy that I've dedicated to BLM, I have been attacking this Zionist narrative about Israel. And they go, oh, okay, it really wasn't because I'm Black. It was because I was being annoying. And it's like, yeah, you were being annoying. And I'm glad you're not doing that anymore. And this is how I feel about Israel right now. They're being super annoying, and or Zionists in America. Israel, I think, is forever going to be what it is, which is a satanic entity. But Jewish people in America were first really drinking the Kool-Aid post-October 7th. That was their George Floyd event. And they were seeing anti-Semitism everywhere, and they got super annoying. And I think now, with enough time, they too are starting to go, okay, wait a second. What is happening? Why is this event? Look what Bibi Netanyahu's doing. This does seem to be a game of politics, as BLM was. And so I'm calling balls and strikes. I don't care what your race is or what your religion is. If you get annoying, I don't care if you're Blake Lively. I mean, the Blake Lively situation, I'm attacking Israel, but also defending the Jew of the situation, as the directors were. Right. You know, annoying gets what it gets for me.
What's your thoughts on J.D. Vance? Do you think he's the future president?
I think that the answer to that question has been complicated by the Epstein files because of how many times Peter Thiel was mentioned in them. And he's going to have to contend with that because there's no getting around it. I mean, Peter Thiel did fund J.D. Vance from the time that he was in college. He made him a thing, right? He funded his career in the Senate. He certainly likely got him that deal with Netflix, which is unheard of. He went to go work for Peter Thiel, so there's no separating in the public mindset Peter Thiel from J.D. Vance. And so how he will contend with that will be interesting. Prior to that dump, I would have said he would have been a contender. I think he has been wise. He has been smart to stay away from Trump on the issues. I can tell you he was definitely one of the people that was pushing for answers in terms of what happened to Charlie Kirk. That's what I was told from behind the scenes, that J.D. Vance was pushing, was maybe one of the only people that was actually pushing for answers behind the scenes, which is compelling. And he has stayed away from that super Zionist philosophy. In fact, the Zionists are regularly attacking J.D. Vance. So that was all good for him. He is going to have to contend with the Epstein files and J.D. Vance and Peter Thiel now, though. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. What do you think if we ever a lot of people saying we're about to go to war with Iran. I'm not sure why we have battleships out there. I'm even not sure what Trump's been saying crazy things that we are trying to make Iran great again, thinking about arming some of their citizens to fight back again. I'm like, what is this all coming from? Why does we so infatuated with Iran? That doesn't help Americans.
I just think BB is running his Twitter account. It's just BB tweeting. I don't know.
You think BB's tweeting?
I don't even care about anything. I'm just like, oh, BB's tweeting again. Yeah. You know, BB drunk dial in America. You know, like I don't even cover anything that's going on because there's no explanation for it at all. It's like BB demands the ships, they go, and then Trump tweets something weird after the fact. I just tell Americans, don't send your sons, don't sign up for the military. This is not the United States military. It's nothing to do with the United States. It belongs to Israel. So if you want to die for Israel, sign up for the military today.
Well said. Well said. Before we let you go, I just want to ask you one tough question. You've been asking a lot of tough questions. No, this is really tough. If you could change anything, is there anything you ever said or done you wish you had never did on camera? There's something that bugs at you. It's like, what was I thinking that day? I mean, I have a million of them. I don't even have time to tell you how many times I wish I can go back in time and say, man, why did I say that? Do you ever have those situations that happen?
If you asked me in the moment, I would be like, oh, I wish I had done this because then I wouldn't be going through this. Right. But then when you have more time from whenever that happened, there's just always, you learn from mistakes. So why would you want to go through life not making mistakes? And like the biggest thing that happened, I guess, in the public was my firing from the Daily Wire. Why would I want to change that? Look how beautiful that story has turned into, like it, like standing up for myself. And I feel so good about that, like spiritually, that God won in that regard, that Christ is king. That narrative, I wouldn't want that to be gone. Would I have, if I could go back in the moment? Actually, even when I went down, I knew what I was doing. I was very conscious in saying like, I am okay with this happening and I'm grateful that it happened. I was never going to sell my soul, but I wouldn't take away like working for the Daily Wire or working for PragerU, because it allowed me to see how these things work from the inside. So when I'm giving people insight on my show, I now can say this not as an outsider, assuming what's happening on the inside, but someone having been on the inside and telling you what's now happening on the outside. So I have the perspective that, you know, God wants you where you are at that exact moment in time. And even when you make mistakes, it's a part of a learning process. And so
I think that's the best time to learn is when you make mistakes. I've learned the most when I fell on my face, and I wouldn't get rid of not one of them. It's like the best learning experience is when you fail. It makes you a better person. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm not scared to fail. So that also helps. There's so much fear of failing, and it's just like, well, then you know what you did wrong, and you do better next time, you know?
Right.
Well, we want to thank you for taking your time today to talk to us. Anything you want to shout out?
Welcome.
Anything you want to shout out?
No.
It's not like you need to shout out anything.
Everybody knows Candace.
I'd like to shout out my cousin who's been holding it down in New York. My
older brother, my daughter, they watch.
I feel like I'm a rapper. You know, they get say just shout out. Like a shout out to my producer, my homies locked down. Pour some out for my fallen homies, my aunts and my uncles back, holding it down in Brooklyn. That's it.
Thank you, Candace. We love you. We love you. Thank you.
Love you guys too, and hopefully I'll be back soon. You guys have a good one.
You too.